Hello and welcome to the Empower LEP podcast. I am your host, Jana Parker. I am a licensed educational psychologist. I am a group practice owner, and I am the owner and a mentor at Empower LEP. Today, I am really excited to introduce to everyone Emily Gray. Emily's marketing agency, Client Obsession, handles the marketing for Empower LEP as well as my group practice, Mind by Design, which has grown 51% since we started working together, and we hit 7 figures in revenue last year for the first time, which is crazy. I can't believe it, but it happened. So Emily has helped me literally with everything from branding to lead tracking, automations, email marketing, getting us showing up really high on Google, generating leads through paid ads each month, and SEO, my website, everything. I am really excited to bring her to the LEP community. She is behind the scenes in literally everything I do. And she's also going to be hosting a live Q&A session on marketing for Empower LEP. And that's going to happen on Thursday, February 27th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and this is a free event. Okay, so again, marketing, all things marketing. There's going to be Q&A, anything you want to know, everything you need to know in an hour and a half, 4:30 to 6, February 27th. Come join us. It's free. See you there. And I hope that you enjoy this conversation as much as I always enjoy talking to Emily Gray. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. And I'm here today with the lovely and my BFF, because we have spent so much time together over the past year and a half, Miss Emily Gray from Client Obsession. How are you today?
I am good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining me. I figured, you are usually on the other side of things. You're a Zoom box. You pop on every once in a while. But Emily is basically behind the scenes on every single thing I do for both of my businesses, both for Mind by Design and for Empower LEP. And honestly, without Emily and her team, I would not be where I am. I might be a little bit richer, but I certainly wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
So I thought, because basically I get asked over and over and over again about marketing, and I don't really do my marketing. And I did try to I tried to hire people to do my marketing when I didn't quite know what to ask for or what I was looking for. It's all a learning curve. And I did go through several marketing people before I found what I needed. And now I have just so much more insight into the kinds of things I know that I need, not that I can do any of them really myself. That's not to say that other people can't, but I can't.
You're not a DIYer. There are DIYers and you're just not it. It's good to know these things.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And so, I thought it would be good to just I know that you've been in contact with a lot of people through Empower LEP that I've introduced you to. But I wanted to introduce you to the entire community because I feel like you have a lot to share that can give our listeners and audience and community some insight into the kinds of questions that really everybody has when they're starting a business.
Right. Yeah. Marketing is such a huge topic. I mean, it's like psychology, right? So to know it all is impossible for either of us and in our industries. And so it's so important to consider marketing when you're starting a business. And it's so important to know who to reach out to, what actions to take. And that's tough to know when when you're starting a business or when you've started a business and now you're going, wait a second, I didn't plan for my marketing. So it is a topic that I love to talk about. And I love to educate folks on, and I love your field so much. And so it's really great to be able to do this and do other things with Empower LEP to bring marketing to the forefront so that it's not forgotten.
Yeah. And I will just say quickly, and I'm sure you're going to touch on this in a bit, but I literally last week, and I connected you with this person, but I had somebody ask, what was the question? Why, when I try to type in my website into, or when I try to just, not even the website, when I try to type like my name and the area into Google, like so that it would find me, it doesn't find me.
Right.
And I was like, oh, because I have learned that just because you have a website doesn't mean that it will pop up on Google.
No, you got to
Who knew?
You got to earn your spot there. Yeah. It's Google, Bing, all the searches make no promises to you that just because you happen to build a website that they have to show you on the front page. That's very competitive space. And so it's process to get there, which we'll dive into.
Okay, well, I have several questions for you, of which I think will kind of help paint the picture for the audience. And yeah, okay. So my first question for you is, like, in thinking about Mind by Design, because you started helping on Mind by Design.
Yep.
But we kind of started Empower LEP around the same time because we obviously like couldn't
ignore it.
Couldn't ignore it. Tell me about, because we had a huge growth. We had a 51% growth rate at Mind by Design. What kinds of strategies went into that? Like, what contributed to that growth?
Yeah.
And then as you went into Empower LEP, like, what kinds of strategies are you using to get consistent results for Empower LEP?
Sure. Good questions. Okay, when we took over, Empower LEP was under different branding. So everything visually looked different. It was a much smaller website than it is now. And the same agency was working on Mind by Design and Empower LEP. And they had actually just launched brand new websites and branding for both businesses. And unfortunately, when we took over, it was really damage control. The majority of the buttons didn't work. The forms didn't work. You were getting support questions nonstop because they had set up the courses, less than optimally. So at first it was literally all hands on deck and we were just fixing just to make things work, because your forms really need to work. Your buttons need to work. People are coming and wanting to buy, wanting to reach out to you. And if your website isn't working, obviously that sale ends right there. Some people will pursue and push and call and all of that, but a lot of people just give up. So damage control first. Once we got that taken care of, we started building an entirely new brand and website for Mind by Design that really spoke to your ideal client, you personally, that you could feel really confident in, because it doesn't matter if I tell you it's great. If you don't feel that way, you're not going to want to go out and really show your business off. So we worked on all of that. We took a lot of time on the Mind by Design website specifically and put up pages for every service and really went in depth there and making sure that it speaks to your ideal client. And then we started SEO, so search engine optimization. And that is setting your website up in everything online, everything, including your social media, your Google business profile, everywhere your business exists online, setting that up so Google can understand how to find you. Google can read all the information on the website, on the internet, but it doesn't know what context to put it in until we tell them that. And so there's a process that we have to do on the back end and, the nerd section that really tells Google how to read what is a headline, what is a body copy or paragraph, right? So if a lot of people you pull up a website, it says like, welcome. Well, Google reads that. And if you tell that Google that's the most important thing on that page, what does Google know about your business from the word welcome? Absolutely nothing. So everything has to be strategically placed on a website. So we did that. And then we started running ads. And running ads is great because you can get right on that first page of Google day one. And so we have an opportunity to get leads, get client outreach or prospective outreach day one. And then you have an opportunity to sell to them. Search engine optimization, it can take months to really make an impact for you. And so ads are a way to get to the front of the line quickly. So we ran ads. We started sending regular emails to your client base at Mind by Design. So you've got your clients and just leads that have come through the door, people who've signed up for your newsletter. And then we have your professional network, and you are a network hustler. So you had a great list there. And we send different emails to those because we want to make sure we're speaking directly to them. Your professional network does not need to be educated on services like prospective clients do. So we make sure we have regular cadence of emails going out. And then we give you a lot of marketing collateral. So you have a brochure, you have new business cards, you have all the things that can go out into the community and be a great representation for your business. Thankfully, because you are such a great, highly networked individual with such a great reputation locally, even though your previous website wasn't doing you justice, your business was doing great. You were still growing because of what you had built. And that speaks to the power of networking and that everyone should be doing that. But we want to make sure that your website is going to nurture people from that first visit all the way through reaching out to you, because plenty of people are just going to leave. Button doesn't work, if it's frankly ugly, if they don't understand what you do, all of that. So that's the Mind by Design side.
Yeah, I actually had one of the companies in the area who has like an aligned kind of mental health practice. I heard they are kind of combing through my Mind by Design website and like copying it because it's so good.
Well, that flattery. That's great.
I know.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is flattering.
I think you raised the bar. We did a lot of research on your competition, within 20, 30 miles. And I think you've really raised the bar. So congratulations. And
Thank you.
Everyone can do that in their community, because it's really, you guys are professionals. You offer a high ticket service and you're dealing with people's most precious thing. I don't know, their children, right? So it's important that you come off extremely professional and consistent and warm, and all of that can be conveyed through your brand, right? So your logo, your colors, your fonts, how things are laid out, and through your messaging. So through the words on your site. And it's really easy to make it very accurate and clinical. It's not as easy to marry the accuracy with the warmth and the clear explanation that families need, because they do not know what a psychoeducational evaluation is 90% of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll also just take a moment here to say that you were like the fourth team to work on my website.
Yeah.
Like I had somebody build it.
Yeah.
Then I had somebody else edit that. Then I had the people take it over and rebrand me because I thought I knew what I was talking about and what I needed. Yeah. And then you. So in 5 years, and that was after 4 years, right? So like I went through that process.
One per year. Yeah. And it's painful and it's unfortunate because you obviously spent a lot of money on that. But it's also not uncommon. Right. I don't think it's just not uncommon. And so if people are out there in that position, don't beat yourself up for it. In my previous business, before I ran this business, I did the exact same thing. I hired the wrong people. I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know what I needed. And I spent $3,000 once and got half a logo. So, it was great.
Yeah. Okay. So you kind of already touched on this, but I really want to hone in on why marketing is so important for LEPs.
Yeah. It's so important because marketing for any business is really the lifeblood. Without it, no one is coming through your door, virtually or in person. And it is going to make sure that you have consistent revenue. And whether you're doing this as a side hustle, whether you are a solo practitioner pursuing full-time, whether you're a group practice, you have to think about what leads are being generated and how they're being generated. Can you build this business entirely on your network and your reputation? Yes. Is that the case for most people when they're starting? No, it's not. And also, your reputation does not mean that you have an online reputation that's serving you, right? So your reputation in the community and people's hearts and minds and how they speak about you is completely different than your online reputation. And so it's really important that when someone speaks really highly of Jana Parker, to their neighbor at the community barbecue, that when they go to Jana's website, it reflects that same experience that this person said. And so often I find that that it's just an afterthought, your online presence. And so your website really is the foundation of your business. It is working for you 24/7. it is, people are seeing it, you never know, see it. And it just really, really, really shouldn't be overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, and I hear mixed things. Like some people will say, you don't really need to worry about your website. It's just a place where people land. It's just to make sure that you are like legitimate if you have a website. I mean, like as a professional, if I'm sharing a resource with a family, like if I'm sharing referrals with them,
Yeah.
it definitely makes a difference if I'm sharing a website versus just sharing someone's phone number and email.
Right. Right.
um but yeah, speak a little bit to um that online presence,
Yeah.
because I think your message would be a little bit different than people who say like it's just a place to land, you
Yeah.
don't really need to worry about it, it just has to be there.
Yeah. I think it depends on your industry. And since we're speaking to pretty much one industry here, I can say that you guys, because you're a high ticket service, right? You are not, a $49 one time experience for a family. Because you are dealing with such important time in these families' lives or these people's lives, it is incredibly important that you have a website there, and you can think of it as a place, it can be your online brochure to a degree. It doesn't have to be 100 pages. You don't have to have an active blog. In some cases, you could have a one-page website and it could serve you just fine. It all comes down to the strategy for your particular circumstance and what you're looking to get out of your business. And so that's what's so important. It's not one size fits all. Even for LEP to LEP, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. I have clients that are really gearing up to really build a huge practice, even if it's just solo. And I have clients who are like, I'm going to do all IEEs. Here's what I need. And that's a different journey. So it's important to not just go yes, no. It's not black and white.
Mhm. Right. And I think so, you know, I think before I started business, I didn't realize so much that, when people have used someone in their practice and then they refer them, right? Like I say, to people like, oh, you should use Emily, she's
Mhm.
great. But like the reason that the people that I'm working with and that I refer other people to are great is because I know now that they've gone through this journey of LEP,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
which until you do that, you don't necessarily know. And you could hire you could hire GoDaddy. I mean, don't hire
Please,
GoDaddy,
please,
but
please.
like
Yeah.
you, you could hire GoDaddy and be like, build my website. And they'll be like, oh, we'll totally do all the things. But I mean, I'm sure that there are other reasons that you would say don't hire a company like that, but they don't know anything about your industry.
Right.
So, like somebody building you a website who has no idea about your industry and someone who does is going to just
Like, world of difference.
naturally provide a different experience for you. And
Yeah.
also, like, it just comes with a knowledge base, right? And then also for you already know the audience.
Exactly. And that is it's a huge time investment for anyone you're hiring to understand your industry and your very, very, very specific needs. And when we think about building a website, a lot of people say, oh, I have a web guy, right? Or, my cousin's brothers, da, da, da. Great. They are oftentimes, when people are talking about building a website, it is the actual swinging of the hammer. I think I liken it to building a home. Do you want the person who is framing out your home to be the architect, the space planner, the interior designer, and the person who's doing the entire building process, including all the finishes? It's a rare person who can do that entire scope and take into account all your needs. You come to and say, I want 4 bedrooms, I want 2 bathrooms, I want a lot of light, right? And then he just comes up with the whole thing. Rare that that person exists, right? We have an entire team of specialists in every phase of that. And there's the strategy going in, there's the research on your particular geographic area, the services you provide. There's the professional copywriting. You guys are great writers. You're really great writers. However, writing for your ideal audience of parents and families and individuals looking for your services is different than writing a report. And so we have professional copywriters for that. And then we have designers. and they do not build the site. They just make it look pretty, but also meet a lot of standards that we never have to talk about with you. Padding, margins, and UX and UI, and all these things that go into making a website really, really functional. Because what is a website there to do? It's there to represent your brand well. It's there to educate and inform. And it's there to usher people from landing on your site to reaching out to you. And that is a journey. And unfortunately, a lot of websites educate and inform in a little bit of a crude manner, but they don't usher people through that journey, because if people just look at your site, who cares? You made $0 off of that.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure we think about that entire journey. And then the last step is actually building the site. And a lot of people hire the builder, but they don't hire that full scope beforehand. And then they're not happy with the result. I have candidly, I've never had someone come to me happy with either a DIY they did or that they hired a builder and got an incredible outcome. And that's not saying hire me at all. It's like I'm here saying, please consider that there's more to it, because I don't want you to end up 4 websites in 4 years. That's why.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and even though I already had a website built that I had gone over and over and over 3 different times,
Yeah.
by the time we got to the last time, like we literally went through every single word on every single page. We review. I mean, that was like,
It was painful.
exhausting.
It was painful.
It was painful. Yeah. But now look at what I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you had to educate and inform me and our writers along the journey so that we could make sure to represent you, because it goes through the information you're giving me. It goes through our filter of how to simplify it, so a family doesn't have to think. You don't want people to be on your website going, what does that really mean? Right? Which is super easy in your field for people to be like a little overwhelmed with the information. So we need to keep it simple, because it is not there to tell the entire scope of their experience with you every minute they're going to spend in the outcome. It's there to usher them through, oh, wow, I think they solved the problem that I have. It all comes down to problem and solution. And we just need them to go through that, reach out to you, and then you sell them on what they're really getting and what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's shift a little bit. So let's get off of just website.
Yes.
And kind of get a bit into just marketing strategy overall, because I think that's confusing.
Yeah.
So take us through.
Sure. I've touched on this a bit, but a lot goes into it. I think I'm actually going to start with an example of someone that I spoke with recently. Okay. So let's take Alex. Alex is an LEP, a new LEP, works full-time in the schools, does not plan on leaving the schools at all. She's going to retire from there as far as she's concerned. But she wants a side hustle. She needs to bring in $2,000 a month. She wants to bring in $4,000 a month, which when you think about it is $48,000 a year. That's some people's entire salary. That's amazing, right? And so she wants to offer IEEs, consultations, private assessments, and counseling. And she's really keen on the counseling piece, which I think is wonderful. She has very limited time. She works full-time in the schools. She's actually in school herself. And then she wants to start this side hustle. So her ability to go out and spend a lot of time networking, to spend a lot of time DIYing is super limited. And when is she going to take sales calls? When is she going to build out the systems in her business? And so we took her through a process, and where that process ended up was that even though she wants to offer counseling, and she should offer counseling, she should not be marketing counseling. It should not be where she spends her time, because what does that journey look like? It is going to be people, she has to build her network. She has to let everyone know. She has to then have free consultations. How many of those are actually going to close into sales? How many visits are those people going to do at $150 an hour, right? And so how much of that time is going to be unpaid? And so her net hourly rate, when she puts all of that together on counseling, she's going to end up with a pretty low hourly rate. And she's going to be spinning her wheels and maybe lose faith and lose a lot of momentum in the business overall, if that's where she focuses her time. And that's not even thinking about hiring anyone. That's just her own time. So where we came up with was that IEEs, as we all know, are, relatively simple as far as marketing goes. You need to make yourself aware to the self is aware of you. You need to network yourself. But once you get going on that, the IEs are coming to you to some degree. And so in IE, she can reach her monthly goal in one IE a month. Now, does that mean she's going to get it just because we say? Of course not. But what we came up with was that we're going to build her a foundation, which means she's going to get a great website. She's going to get marketing collateral. She's going to have business cards, email signature, a digital brochure. So a PDF you can send out that is really kind of like a mini website, a trifold brochure. So a physical brochure that she can hand out, and she's going to get some other stuff to go along with it. And then she can go out and feel incredibly confident about her business. It'll be incredibly clear what services she offers and how she can help. And she can just spend a bit of time marketing that and then spend other time really developing the systems in her business. Because as you know, Jana, every service you create, every service needs marketing, a sales process, a fulfillment process, a kind of quality assurance process, everything. There's so much to it. So offer less services in the beginning and fine tune those. So that's what we mean by a strategy. We factor in, what are your goals? What is your resources? Are you a highly networked individual and do you love networking, or do you want to just like absolutely, you never ever want to go to a marketing event, right? Are you a DIYer, or are you someone who's like, no, I want to leverage my time properly and make sure, there's so many factors that go into it. What budget do you have to start out with, and where have you put marketing in your kind of order of priorities? There's a lot to consider there. But if you don't know what your goals are and what you want out of your business, no one is going to be able to create a proper strategy for you. So that's where I want people to really spend their time thinking about, what do I want out of my business? Do I want freedom from the schools? Do I want a side hustle? Do I want a group practice? And then let's reverse from there and plan something for you.
And do you kind of help take people through that as well?
Yeah. We can't, I don't want to say I wish. It would be interesting if marketing could just stay in our own lane and just market, right? But there's no way. It bleeds into business consulting. It bleeds into business planning. And I love it because I've always been a holistic, like 360 person. But you really, if you can come to me and tell me your entire business plan, strategy, sales process, all of that stuff, and you just want me to turn on the marketing engine, sure, I can do that. But I haven't met a business owner yet who's in that place, which is totally fine. I run into the same thing in my own. I need help too. So it's okay. But yeah, we take everyone through a really comprehensive process to make sure we don't build you something you don't need. So if you only need a small foundation, we will build that. If you are like, I am going to the sky, great. Then let's plan for that and make it phased out.
Yeah. I mean, you guys basically became my everything. Like, you were my marketing team, but became everything because over last year, 2024, I was just so inundated with like the growth of my practice. I did not have the time, and I was like, could not find an administrative support person who could support me in the operations and the daily, like everything that I needed, as well as like talking to all the clients on the phone that were coming in because of my great marketing.
Right. You grew, in some ways too fast last year, but you kept up, obviously. But it was, you had no time for all of that.
Yeah. So now, but I mean, now all the ins and outs of everything in my business, which gives you kind of like just the knowledge for all the LEPs you might work with in the future.
Yeah, I like to tell the LEPs that come my way, like, Jana paved the way for you. She also paid the way for you.
I sure did. Yes, I did.
So now we know everything because of Jana. I mean, not everything, but we really try. And I'm a constant, never-ending learner. And so every LEP I meet with, every psychologist, clinical psych I meet with, I'm always wanting to know more about how the business operates so that I can serve you better, because it's these tiny little nuances that can completely shift a strategy or completely open up an opportunity. You guys are really, really blessed to be in the field you're in, that there are so many ways in which you can market yourselves. Some are paid ads on Google and some are absolutely free, right? And there are so many ways that you can earn a living or a side hustle but it all has to be planned out, or you're just gonna, I hate to see people throw spaghetti at the wall and then be really disappointed because
Yeah.
it's exhausting, and there's a lot of hope that goes into all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give us like kind of your final thought on marketing strategy.
Yeah. I would say that it should be intentional, it should be efficient, and it should align with your goals. And so it really needs to start with, what do you want out of your business? And what are your own strengths? And what are your available resources? Time, money, where are you willing to compromise? Where are you willing to spend more time? And then whether you're growing that full-time practice or getting that part-time side hustle going or just maintaining it, we have to get the right strategy in place so that you can be well supported and not worry about marketing. I don't want people up at night freaking out about it. Jana's not lost any sleep ever over that at all. But she's so much better now than she was a year ago at not panicking. Like, your panic level, which is not, it's not just because of me, obviously, it's because of Scott Robeson.
Well, I will also say, I mean, another thing that was happening with me prior to your team taking over is I'd have like marketing things would go out that would have like a typo
Yeah.
or something that didn't work
Yeah.
or the wrong thing went out to my professional network.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, just.
Yeah. It was bad.
Like,
When we came on, I've never seen anything as bad as what we came into. I mean, there were things going to Empower LEP that had Mind by Design on them and vice versa. And it was amazing. It was amazing. But thankfully.
And I was like, I was paying for that. Like, I had what is it, wool over my eyes or something?
Yeah.
Like,
and you had weekly meetings. It's not like you were involved. You were super involved, but
yeah,
that just wasn't,
the
team wasn't competent.
Right, exactly. They were telling me all the right things, and then something would come out and it just would be wrong. And I'd be like, I am a professional. I can't have something coming out with typos to my professional community. That just is like, no.
Yeah. It's I mean, this is like, my industry is tough. We have to know a lot, and it's always changing.
Mm-hmm.
And we are, we are putting things out into the world on behalf of your business. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. And it's tough to build a team that is trustworthy and knows all the things. And, but we work really hard at it because it's so important. I mean, it's so important. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, I want to take us now from marketing into branding. Can we touch a little bit on that? Like, what is branding?
Yeah.
And how important do you think it is for LEPs and private practice?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked this. I have clients who say, like, I want a logo, and then we start talking about branding. They go, I don't really know what that means. So we back on up. So let's just talk about what that really means. It's really how you present your business and your practice to the world, and that encompasses the visuals as well as what we call the messaging. So the copy, the text on your site, on your brochures, and it's
like literally. Wait, let me just say, literally the font.
Oh, the font. I mean, I'm a font nerd. I love a font. I love choosing fonts. The fonts matter, people. Do not go font crazy. You are allowed 2 fonts, sometimes with just a dash of a third font. 2 fonts max. It is everything visually, and it's everything messaging wise that goes out, and it's how the clients and the prospective clients, they experience your brand, right? You walk into Ross. Do you really care about the brand at Ross? No. But you go there because you want whatever Ross has to offer. I love Ross, but I'm going to have a very different experience visually and my overall feelings on the inside of me when I go to Ross as when I go to Nordstrom. Nordstrom is well organized. Things have space between them. It has air to breathe. It's very neutral, and Ross is a different experience. What experience do we want our clients to have, and our leads, our prospective leads, to have when they find us online, when they see our stuff? And with the accessibility of things like Canva, which I love, we use it every day, it makes it so that Jana is not a fan. Not a fan.
I just don't know how to do it. I just don't know how.
She's not a DIYer, everyone. She is not. She's not that gal. it makes it so that people can go into Canva and type in logo, and you can kind of make your own logo, and you can make your own, graphics and social media posts and all of that. And that's amazing. But what can happen is, because it's so accessible, because there's all these templates there, you can end up looking pretty garage sale-y, unfortunately. Very disjointed. A brand needs to be cohesive. It's the same colors used over and over. It's the same fonts used over and over. It is a certain way that your brand communicates. And what can happen between AI and Canva and the merging of the two, which is great, is that you can end up looking incredibly confused as a brand. And people are then spending their time wondering, who is this? They see a social media post. Eventually, consciously and subconsciously, there are things that come into our brain, and we need to be able to identify, who is this? Do I trust them? Who is this? Do I want to read this? And a consistent branding can help people, they don't have to think, and we want to keep the thinking to a minimum, which I know sounds ridiculous, but we do, because we want people to be able to focus on what matters, not who is this my design? Is this, you can get whiplash on people's social media. Don't do it. Yeah. And what is that? What do you think about branding? Is that, does that help? Does that help bring?
Yeah, it helps me. I mean, I, again, just kind of thinking about, like the first website people who helped me were like, how do you want it to feel, and like kind of colors and things. And then the second one, it like changed to something awful.
It was like confetti.
Yeah, it was like confetti, and then Empower LEP was like a university. It was bad.
Bad sports team.
It was bad. And I am not an aesthetic kind of person. Like I'm like the kind of person who has to be like, give me 3 choices. Like,
right.
Don't give me, I am not going to make you what's a mood board. Yes. Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the website or what's the app that you do all that stuff with boards?
Oh,
Pinterest.
You're not a Pinterest.
Oh,
you're not. No.
No.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, so I really needed someone with expertise to do this, because it just so wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
What would you say are like some kind of top mistakes that people use? Common mistakes you see with us.
I would say, I'm going to go back to not having a plan, not identifying a marketing budget. And that is so important, because you have to know what you can work with, and you guys can get a great return on your marketing investment if you hire the right people and if you have a plan. If you throw spaghetti at the wall, not so much. And then really being intentional about how your brand is perceived out there, by putting in really thoughtful messaging. It's all about how we communicate, right? And so I think that that's going to be so important. And I think that's probably my biggest thing, is that you can DIY. I'm not saying you have to hire someone all the time, but there is so much to learn. And is that a good investment of your time?
Mm-hmm.
It really needs to be considered, because it can feel like we're spending a lot, but what we're actually doing is losing a lot, because there's an opportunity cost to any time that we're working on our business and not going out there and generating revenue. And so it really has to be thought through of what makes sense for you at the different stages you are in business, of what makes sense to hire out, what makes sense to do, yourself. And I want people to make sure that they're thinking through that, because you can get you can get an IE, you can get an eval, you can turn around your marketing investment in a matter of a few months, and then you have your foundation and you're all set. So really just consider those things.
Yeah, I mean, and it even goes all the way back to even just picking out the name for your business and the name for your website and your domain and your socials and stuff.
100%. you guys have very long, educational psychology is already a lot of letters. So we have to think about these things. Your domain is, Mind by Design is themindbydesign.com because someone already had Mind by Design. We want to keep that as short as possible. And we want to keep your business name short enough because your logo has to have the letters in it. And it can be really hard to get that all in there. So we want to be really thoughtful about your name. And then there's, of course, the legal pieces of that puzzle, which are not mine, but we're working with an attorney to put together a training for everyone on what can happen in California, what you have to meet in California. But think about the name very much from the perspective of what is your ideal client, and try not to be identical to each other, because Google in your own area, and don't just look at LEPs. Look for businesses that have, if you're thinking of a business name, start Googling on it and because you could be confused on Google with that business, and it might be very different with a very similar name. So just spend some time acting like your ideal client would, and go out there in the world. Yeah.
After working, because now you've worked with like several LEPs.
Yeah.
What would you say is unique or special, or what kinds of things have you learned about us? What do you love? Because now I think you have an affinity towards us.
Such a strong affinity that we're actually rebranding our own agency, which is just as hard for me as it is for you guys. So just so you know that it's painful because I have to make decisions, but we are completely focusing on psychologists. Like that is it. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I know. It's been my little secret because it's not done yet because it's taking forever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We are completely pivoting because I love it so much. We work, I've worked with like speech, occupational physical therapists for kiddos for years and love them. And so we'll keep working with, kind of like that we want to be involved with businesses that are making an impact in your communities and with children specifically. It's like, I love it so much. So being this little piece of the impact you guys make is like so rewarding to me. And I've learned that you guys are very type A, which I love. You are so dedicated to what you do, and you guys have it a little tough in the schools a lot of the times. And so I love being a part of you guys getting to be rewarded in your careers and your businesses in a way that really values you properly. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was like a big reveal just now.
I mean, it probably wasn't done all that great, but yeah, it was a big reveal. Yeah.
It was for me anyway. That was a big reveal for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So we still have other clients in many other industries. And we'll still, we know how to do it all, but we are going to be focused all of our efforts on really serving this community because it's so rewarding. And you guys are my favorite. Don't tell everyone else. Yeah.
Well, because you are so invested in our field, tell us what the audience's big reveal is.
Yeah. So we have been planning this forever and finally made the time to put together a marketing event specifically for Empower LEP. So we are going to do a 90-minute free session on the 27th of February. And it's going to be the 5 pillars of marketing for psychologists, because you don't need to know about marketing all for everybody. You need to know about it for you guys. So we're going to go much deeper on the things we covered today and put together an entire event for you. And there's going to be a Q&A, so you can bring those questions that everyone has to that. And then we're going to be in that session really going over what we're really, really excited about, which is a 12-week marketing coaching program that's going to start in March. And I want to say mid-March. And so that's going to be really, really great because it's everything that I'm going over with my clients on a one-on-one basis. And we can teach you that in a group setting so that your cost comes way down. We will go, if you have a website, we can do live reviews of that. If you have marketing collateral, stuff that you're using, we can really go over that in those sessions and talk about what could be improved about it, what recommendations. So it's really a way to leverage my incredible team that has worked so hard on learning this field and give you guys access to information that will serve you forever. And this is for people who are, especially the free event, it's for people who aren't even sure that they're going to do this yet, because the more you know, the better decision you can make about getting your LEP. If you've gotten licensed, but you're not really sure how you're going to proceed, this will help you make those decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, knowledge is power. Make informed decisions.
1000%. And so many people go in and it's hard to know everything, and you won't know everything, but you'll know enough. You will know enough. And that's what we really want, the place we want to get people to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that free event is Thursday, February 27th from 4:30 to 6.
4:30 to 6.
Pacific Standard Time.
Yes, Pacific Standard Time. Mm-hmm. And you can sign really easily, empowerlep.com/marketing. So empowerlep.com/marketing, and just sign up for that. And then we have, I believe, I think we're giving out like a little gift to everyone as well for just for signing up. So there will be replays, but you want to come live if possible, so you can ask your questions. And we always do something live that only the people who actually attend live get access to. So I'm excited to see everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay. So take us out with, I'll ask you one final question. Let's see what I want to ask you. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to LEPs who really want to bring in consistent clients but feel overwhelmed with marketing?
Great question. One piece of advice, I would say build your network, honestly, which is marketing, but it's not what you have to hire me for, right? It's going to be build your network. You guys can, I know Jana has colleagues that have done everything through their network. And if you've got the time and the skills and the connections to build those relationships, that is where you can do really, really well. And Jana has a course on how to network effectively and grow your practice. So that's where I would say that's the number one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, just on that note, networking is everything.
Yeah.
I just listened to a podcast, and I reached out, and I've actually interviewed the person whose podcast I just listened to.
Right.
And I reached out to that person and said, hey, I just listened to this podcast, and I listened to it because it was on science of reading stuff. And I'm doing, I do talks on that. So I like to listen to other people talk about things. I just get so inspired, in my next life, I want to have a school for kids with reading issues with all my free time.
I love it.
But I'm just putting it out there to the universe. That's what I'd really like to do, is open a non-public school here in San Jose, or a private school. Okay. Anyway, I'm too big. You're all, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
You do this? Ready.
Okay. No, but my point was, so I'm like, oh, I just listened to this podcast with this person, and they're like, oh, I should connect you with that person. And then I went and looked on that person's website, where they work, which is not even in the state. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that the person who used to work with me, who's taught me, so she's an SLP who taught me so much about literacy, is working for that company now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so it's just, everyone is connected, there are so many cool opportunities that you have, just connecting with people.
Yeah.
One of my colleagues and I are going to lunch at another assessment place today to network with them, because while we both provide assessment, they are neuropsychologists and do some kind of cool brain mapping stuff. I don't even know, but I want to learn about it.
Yeah.
And we, although they're probably not going to send us their assessment clients, though maybe they will, because we're probably less expensive. Right. So maybe they will if people can't, if they can't take them or whatever, or if they just need a psychoed evaluation and not whatever it is that they're doing. And then we have all of these academic supports, right? So they can refer some of their clients to us, and maybe we can refer people to them for their kind of brain training intervention. I don't, it's just, you got to even know the people who are doing the same similar things as you in the community.
Yeah. And it's so easy to feel like, oh, somebody else has it all figured out. I shouldn't reach out to them because they're here and I'm here. And guess what? It's not true. Nobody has it all
Right.
figured out. And most people are super, super open to collaborating, especially in the world we live in now, where we're all just on our own phones in our own world, leaving emojis, here and there. Actually reaching out to people can make such an impact on you and on your business, what you can learn and what you can experience. So don't hold back. One thing that I've noticed with the LEPs that are, getting ready to and leaving the schools is how they feel very alone in this journey, and which is what Empower LEP is, here to help guide you with. But you guys often feel alone in this journey, but you all have the exact same questions and challenges. And so come together, like, let's talk about it, because we can like knock those challenges down so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, great talking to you as always, Emily.
You too. It was fun to do this very differently than our usual meeting.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being on the podcast, and we'll be sure to be, letting everybody know, with bells on Thursday, the 27th, 4:30 to 6.
We'll be receiving marketing emails, everyone. Get ready. We'll be receiving marketing.
Get ready.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
That is it for today's episode of the Empower LEP podcast. I hope that you found this conversation insightful and inspiring as you navigate your journey in private practice. If you enjoyed the episode, I'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us reach more LEPs and school psychologists who are looking to build their own path in private practice. For more resources and community, you can connect with me at empowerlep.com, on Instagram at empowerlep, on Facebook in the Empower LEP Facebook group, or by email at jana@empowerlep.com. And just a quick reminder, the information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered legal, business, or clinical advice. Be sure to consult with the appropriate professionals for guidance on your specific situation. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, you have the skills, you have the knowledge, and you have the power to create a private practice that truly makes an impact.